10 Steps Further is a podcast designed to help you get 10 steps further along your spiritual journey. If you've been on your journey for 30 years or 30 minutes, if you believe in God, or even if you're not sure He exists, all we're trying to do is help you get 10 steps further. I'm Jonathan, and this is Jack, and we're just taking a walk. Why don't you join us? Welcome back to 10 Steps Further. There are three of us. Hey, we're on YouTube now, so some can see us, and it's amazing. We're using high-end equipment, an iPhone to record us. We have a guest who's been with us before. Have you done two before or just one?
Just one.
Yeah. So second time, Brian Aprille.
Jack's here, of course.
Hello.
I just want to tell you guys what just happened before we started. So this is what Brian walked into. We got to turn on our equipment, and none of the microphones are working. And Brian, what was our problem?
They weren't turned on.
Like I said, high-end.
So embarrassing to bring in a guest and not turn on your microphone.
Yeah. And this is our simple setup.
Yeah. That's great. Brian, comedian. He was on a podcast called The New Normal, Part 2, which was amazing. So just give us a little background on who you are for those people that haven't ever heard you before.
My name is Brian Aprille, stand-up comedian, and I've been doing comedy professionally for about 23 years. And
Well, we're in coronavirus, so out of work comedian.
Out of work, unemployed, begging for money.
Why did I feel like I needed to say that?
Yes, absolutely begging for money.
Why did I need to diminish Brian
One of
the
these
very first moment?
Comedy used to be, stand-up used to be a thing.
Well, yeah, and that was the reason I came, is you told me I could look for loose change. I was very excited about that. So,
did you think this was a telethon?
Yes, I
Brian
did.
Aprille telethon.
That's the email I got.
Yeah.
So donate, because for the price of a cup of coffee, you can feed me for a month.
It's expensive coffee.
Yeah. Well, it's ramen. You know,
Right,
ramen is.
That's
ramen.
true. That's true.
It's like 90 for
A vente. We'll
Yeah.
say a vente Starbucks.
There you go.
Brian's an amazing comedian. He's got a great story of battling facial paralysis, and you've got a podcast as well, right?
Yes, I have actually two now. So I got facial paralysis in 2009 and from something called Ramsey Hunt syndrome, and I created a podcast called Unique Smiles, the Facial Paralysis Podcast, which is to help kind of give some support to people who are suffering through facial paralysis. So you can find that on YouTube. You can find that on Google and Apple and all those podcasts. Unique Smiles, the Facial Paralysis Podcast. And then I just put out a new one during the coronavirus. I'm starting a new one called the Uncommon Comedy Podcast, which is about stand-up comedy, and it's also about charity.
Wow.
So it's if you
Are you the charity?
I am. I disguise my name. It's the Brian Fund, but
The Feed the Hungry.
yes, the
Brian.
Hungry, yes. And then there's Brian.org and Brian Needs to Eat. But no, so if you like comedy, if you love stand-up comedy, or you are a comedian, you get a lot of stories about stand-up and the approaches and some of the inside, behind the curtain stuff. And we also talk about specific aspects of it, whether it's acting or writing for like Conan O'Brien, writing for late night, crowd work, all different aspects of it.
Wow.
And then we talk about stand-up comedy.
So is
that
this
sounds-
like a training for kind of wannabe comedians, or is this like hey, we're going to ruin every comedy show for you because you're going to know what's really coming?
That's a little of both. It's a little of both. That's kind of what I want to do. No, it's just to give you a little bit of background and just kind of hear how, the process that we kind of go through. And so it's also helpful for some newer comics to kind of get into it and kind of go, oh, I should do this instead of talking about my body parts all day,
But you do have to have at least 10-15% of talking about your body parts,
Yes.
right? I mean, that has to be.
Yes.
There has to be. Can you give us something from that podcast that we wouldn't know about being a comedian, or a fun story that you heard, or anything that you want to talk about?
Well, just to tell you, I talk about my body parts, my eyebrows, for about an hour. No, I do actually have a joke about my eyebrows, though, because of the facial paralysis.
His joke about his eyebrows is the best. would you be put on the spot if I asked you to do the joke about your eyebrow right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially
after you say it's the best.
All right.
So basically, so I have facial paralysis, and so parts of my mouth don't work, and this eyebrow doesn't raise. And people go, "Oh, that stinks. You know, you can't raise both eyebrows." But I found a positive. I can never be surprised anymore.
Right.
You know, I can only be inquisitive. Just and if you're just listening, I'm raising one eyebrow.
It does lose a little bit. But,
a little bit. Go to YouTube.
But what I remember about that story is it was really empowering. It was one of the ways that God took your paralysis and you were able to switch and use it for good.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I said this in the last podcast. If you had told me when it happened that I would consider this a blessing, I'd say you're crazy.
Right.
But after all this time, it really, and that's when my connection back with God kind of happened. Was after this. Because there was some, I was depressed for a while and whatever, and then I went and did a show at a church, and the amount of outpouring I prayed to God before, and I said, please, I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to, be used, how you see fit, and I had one of the best shows of my life, and I had all these people coming up to me and how my story impacted them and that sort of thing. And I was so overwhelmed. I just cried on the way home, and it was amazing. And I knew right then that, like, okay, this is my path. And I've been all about, my career's changed because I'm all about healing through humor and trying to, it's not about me anymore. It's what can I do for the audience.
Right. So I'm guessing you've probably watched that Seinfeld Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, seen a couple of those episodes.
I've seen a few of those, yeah.
I've watched many of them. And as I watch them, almost every comedian, their life is about comedy, and they are... It feels to me a little bit like they're overblowing their usefulness as a comedian. like we just make people laugh, and you don't know how hard it is, and you can't be us. And I mean, just hear that a lot. Are you with me on that?
Yeah.
Brian has amazing comedy, but there's so much purpose to your life, and I think that's what I like about you. I'm obviously, when as Jerry Seinfeld listens to this, I don't want you to be offended by this, but
what do you mean by that? Why? Who's this Brian fella? Why is he nice?
But there's purpose. You are making an impact and a difference, and I know that has happened for you on several occasions as you're doing comedy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is something I really try to do, is have some purpose, and it's what better way to relate to people who are hurting by exposing your vulnerabilities and your stories, and it just connects.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so the reason why we brought Brian in is, one, we like him. And two, I wanted to point out his joblessness. But this Corona season has brought the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. And who better to talk about certainly the ridiculous than Brian? Hopefully during this session, as we talk about this, Brian will break into several different personalities, because along with facial paralysis, he has a personality disorder as well, to where just an amazing Homer Simpson and some hopefully that will happen.
Oh, you're just being kind. Coronavirus.
So let's talk a little bit about, we've got the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. Where do you want to start?
Oh, man. Well, okay, what's the good? Wait. I need to learn something.
There is some good. I believe there is good.
Yeah,
I really do.
I want to get there, but here, let me give you just a little bit of good. I'll just give you a little bit of good. All right.
Okay.
First off, no line at the Costco gas station. All right.
Okay.
You drive a Tesla, so big deal.
Right. Well, my wife does.
All right.
I drive a Honda Ruckus scooter.
People can hear the birds singing in Paris.
Okay, that's nice for people in Paris.
They're really loud. I can hear them from here, and it's...
Los Angeles has less smog.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, here just read this. Mono Lake in California has a huge population of frogs that normally croak in unison to keep predators away from locating and targeting individual frogs. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Well, with jets, trains, chainsaws, and other man-made noises, when they kick in, they kick the frogs out of sync because they're so loud.
Okay.
And so the frogs can be picked off. But now they can't be because it's quieter.
So these
They're
poor
croaking.
frogs.
They're croaking in sync now,
Okay.
and that's helping them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the upside.
I believe they're on America's Got Talent this year.
Synchronized croaking frogs.
Yes, absolutely.
That was the best I found. Okay, how about? Well, and I want us to get to what it has done in our individual lives, because I believe that God doesn't just do these things to us to punish us but that in the difficult, God can grow us and bring us to a better place, right?
Yeah, I've grown by about 40 pounds. Yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm wearing a blanket around my waist because all my pants don't fit.
Yeah.
But no, I do agree. Yeah, I had another joke, but I'm not going to say it.
All right.
I was like, no, we'll go serious. We'll go serious
wait,
for a minute.
Christian podcast.
Oh, no, it's not that kind of joke. It's not that kind of joke. I was going to say I've been doing a lot of CrossFit to get ready for this, which is where I make the sign of the cross and pray my clothes fit. So,
Okay, how about the bad? I just have some coronavirus shopping trends.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about hoarding. Do you guys have to battle the hoarding, right?
yes, absolutely.
Right?
And trying to get the toilet paper and all of that, and
Right.
just you can only get one pasta noodle, per family household. Thank you,
Right. Yeah, we dealt with it a little bit, but we never went without. Like, it was like, oh man, it's getting tight. Hopefully
Yeah.
we can find some toilet paper. And then Costco's got it just in time. So
I thought it was great. There's a woman at our church. She doesn't go that often, but all of her kids go.
right.
And Patty said, I don't know what the problem is. Have you ever heard of a washcloth before? And there was something about that just kind of grossed me out just a little bit. Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Technically, yes. That would work. But we never had to go there. So that was good. Okay, so I have coronavirus shopping trends and
Okay.
popular product categories right now.
Okay.
And I have 8 of them. Let's see if you can guess what things people are buying. We're talking about Amazon buying, and we're
Okay.
stuck at home, and
weird.
what kinds of things are people purchasing at this point? You guys have any guesses?
Well, first, it's got to be toilet paper.
Okay, no, it's not on the list.
Well, even
because
they
have you
were
tried? Like you
Yeah.
tried to get toilet paper on Amazon?
sold out
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
ever.
Oh,
great.
okay, so it's
coming
available.
in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-day shipping.
Okay. Any guesses?
Got to be some entertainment stuff.
Okay. Right.
Like
right.
TVs or something.
Right. Let's see. That's gaming equipment.
Okay.
I'll give you gaming
Yeah.
equipment
Yeah, that makes
for
sense.
that.
Yeah.
That's number 6.
And there's fitness stuff is
Okay.
in there. Because I know
Number
you can't
8.
get dumbbells.
Number 8
Yeah.
is exercise bands.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
yeah.
You can't get. I didn't know you can't
No,
get dumbbells.
I heard that my dumbbell collection is like gold right now. It's like,
Oh,
if
wow.
I wanted to sell them off, like,
Okay.
because everybody's at home. All the gyms are shut down.
Yep.
How about Brian? How about your dumbbell collection?
That's what my wife calls me, the dumbbell collection.
How did you know that was my nickname at home?
Yeah, exactly.
Any other guesses?
I would say gotta be something like pasta or like batteries, or not that you would eat
The
batteries. but
closest we have to any of those things is baking items.
baking items. Okay.
Okay. According to Google Trends, searches for banana bread have gone up 54% globally.
Okay.
How about like a word search book? Like
That seems like
Like some kind of a
you know, like
game,
like
games,
crosswords.
Yeah, no,
or-
that's great. Not on the list.
Board game.
Okay, do you want me to give you the
Yes.
list? Okay,
Yeah,
number
let's-
1, webcams.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense.
That
Does make sense. Number 2, sleepwear and loungewear.
Yeah.
Guess I don't need a suit anymore, or even a T-shirt.
Or pants. Who needs pants? Give me a Snuggie.
Before coronavirus hit, I was at Goodwill and I found a pair of Grand Canyon University sweats. And my daughter goes there.
Right.
They look brand new. I bought them for $5. I had no idea what an amazing purchase that was.
Yeah, you can get that for like $70, $80 now, right?
Yeah.
You can probably turn around and sell that.
turn around, you make a fortune.
Absolutely.
Brian, do you want to take us to your coronavirus attire?
My coronavirus attire. Well, I'm kind of overdressed today, but it's usually my T-shirt and some form of shorts.
Okay,
and that's about it.
Yeah, it's the black T-shirt, man.
Yeah.
It's like they come in packs of 3. That's my all the time attire.
That is true. That is true. Jonathan wears that all day, every day.
You know what?
It really doesn't matter.
As much heat as I've taken for it, I've just fully embraced it.
Yeah, that's good.
Throw everything else away.
Okay, number 3, shaving and grooming gear. All right, with no professional stylist to go to, consumers are taking their locks and those of their families into their own hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I did that about a month ago. I was just like, I can't take it, and just because I put on sunglasses and I looked like Roy Orbison, and I was like, that's just too far.
Right.
And so I just shaved my head, and now it's growing back slowly and.
Just in time for them to open back up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, this is your always look. You know what, Jonathan?
I was prepared for this
prepared for coronavirus.
I was gearing up for this for years.
We talked about this last time.
What are you gonna do?
How about number 4 is small animal supplies. Coronavirus news caused pet adoption rate in the U.S. to climb and inspired people to foster animals left in shelters.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of people getting puppies.
Oh, my dog loves coronavirus. She loves it. She's going to have so much separation anxiety when we're healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, gaming equipment, you got number 7, outdoor furniture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
A lot of people are buying outdoor furniture. All right.
And then number 8 was the fitness equipment.
Number 8 was exercise bands. That's
Is there
right.
like
That's great.
alcohol mixed drink blender kit or something?
A little insight into Brian's life right now.
I'm just gonna say, like, this seems like it would have been the best time to just somehow explode the virtual reality technology that's out there. Like, that you can escape your house and go on vacation through a screen somehow.
Yeah, that sounds good. Did you guys have any problems like with the panic buying? I mean, not really. I have a couple of stories.
No, it was just weird to go into grocery stores.
Yeah.
It's still weird to go into grocery stores. Like, I went to the bank and deposited 2 checks just because we have 2 landlords. So 2 different banks. And
Someone's gonna brag.
Yeah.
I was depositing 2 checks.
Yeah, 2 different banks. And I tell you, man, there's something sketchy about going into a bank that everybody's wearing a mask. It's just sketchy.
Right.
Man. Like that. I don't know. I still don't feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, I got weirded out a little bit once I would go through, and then you just see more and more of the store just getting empty, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they took away salsa? Why is there a run on salsa? Like, what are you doing?
It feels like you should say they took away salsa as Morgan Freeman.
Well, what happened was I went into the store, and I looked around for some salsa. And alas, I could not find it. That was the last time I had chips and salsa.
That was
on cue.
That was on cue. I know.
Great.
It's awkward. Like, I would definitely be that awkward relative.
Like,
or the
let me try.
Just perform for us right now.
Yeah. Dance monkey! Dance monkey boy!
Okay, here, a couple stories. There's a website called Delish.
Okay.
I don't know what else is on there, but I do know this was on there. They asked its Instagram followers to share their weirdest panic purchases.
Okay.
And here we got one. One woman made fun of her father after a run to Costco. Was at Costco with my father. He went one way, I went the other. 45 minutes later, the man meets back up with me with a case of Spam. Then he goes on to tell me he has not had Spam in over 34 years since before she was born when he came to America. But he bought it because, in his words, hell, we might as well get some now because everything else is running low, and at least I remember what it tastes like.
And it lasts forever, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's quite the aftertaste. They're 34 years later, if you're still like, that still tastes Spam.
I think that case will probably last another 34
Oh,
years.
absolutely.
Yeah, my mom posted something about Spam. It was like something like 50 years ago, Spam released their first shipment of Spam, and they're just about to release their second shipment.
One mom said this. She bought 8 massive bottles of ketchup, and the way she said it was, I can't go through the apocalypse with 3 kids and not have ketchup. They'd kill me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of she's leaving that to somebody in her will. Like, there's no way she's going through all of that.
It's like her parrot.
Yeah, there's no way. That's a lot.
Oh man, what is there any? Obviously the hoarding was bad.
Yes.
Masks. Where are you at with masks?
I'm a pro mask guy. Yep,
Yeah.
I wear my mask. So
We're not wearing masks. Well, you were telling us that that some asthma going on. You're
yeah, I'm one of the vulnerable technically because history of asthma and a little heavier and getting on the older side. So you see all the stories about people in their 40s, just getting strokes and all of that sort of stuff.
Right.
And so I was like, it's not me. I got my hedgehog mask here.
wow.
That's a good mask.
That's a good
Was
mask.
that an Amazon purchase, or where'd you get it?
This was, I believe it was an Amazon purchase.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
For those who are just listening, it's a black mask that you kind of pull down over your head, and it's like a sleeve basically, and I can double it as a bandana when it's over.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's got a bunch of little hedgehogs on there. 'Cause,
I believe I saw Jamie Foxx wear one of those in a movie, and he killed like 7,000 people. That's what it looks like.
That was the inspiration.
yeah, that's
Right,
I was
right.
like,
I'll live. They may all die, but I'll
right.
live.
So the topic is the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. Do you have any more bad that you want to share?
I just my son just graduated high school.
Yeah,
Kind of.
right.
I mean, it's
Right.
like, here's your hat and gown, and I don't know, go to the beach, take a picture. Like that's how graduation was
Right.
done this year.
Right.
We actually went. They finally opened up beaches, and we went down to the beach. And the amount of high school seniors getting pictures taken in their cap and gown was kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah,
So-
we had them all, a bunch of high school kids in this room because we were filming our promotion Sunday. It's when the seniors, kind of give their speeches and what have you.
Right.
They are the worst at practicing social distancing. Third graders may be worse, but
Yeah.
they're second, easily.
Yeah, we separated the chairs, and they grabbed a chair and moved it next to their friends.
Where they're actually facing each other, singing to each other.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's bad.
Right.
Like, one of the things when we're trying to get back together as a church, they say that you can't sing.
Yeah. You don't. Group singing is dangerous.
Yeah.
And I imagine singing with a mask may cause a lot of slain in the spirit. People falling over, like just no oxygen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would be weird. Okay, so I found a Los Angeles Times article by Richard Reed. He described how 45 members of a 121-person choir in Washington State got infected, and 2 died after gathering for a night of practice.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's your job security.
There we go. There we
I
go. But they
I already pointed to Brian.
had a choir. They
They did have a choir.
We don't have a choir. Our people are rarely singing it. Our band, they're just rocking out. They're not singing along. So it's the congregation. The congregation's at risk, but as far as our practices, we're safe.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's
I
singing.
mean, that just sounds like a family reunion where we gather and a few people die, but not from singing or corona. And I don't mean to make light of people passing away, obviously, but
Right.
my family's kind of get that flair.
Okay,
Wow.
have you noticed, Brian, people driving down the freeway
Yeah.
all alone in a car
Yeah.
with their mask?
I have actually, which I don't know why.
Don't fully
Just-
get it.
if you don't trust your own oxygen, then maybe you should go back inside.
Yeah. Yep.
That is very weird to me.
Yeah, that is very weird. Any other things that you've noticed in this season, Brian? Just the ridiculous.
The ridiculous for me is I like, and trust me, this isn't political, but when you see the protesters who come out and say the guy who had COVID is a lie, and he's wearing like a full hazmat suit, like if it's a lie, then what are you doing? Just in case. Yeah. I've seen so many of those. Where
You're like, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I've been out with people like crazy.
Yeah, COVID is a lie, but just,
He looks like he's about to walk on the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
I always found that was really funny to me.
Right.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's just a distrust right now at another level in media.
Yes.
Because it's like, it really is like, well, how bad do we want this to be? That's how we're determining which news we watch. Like, I want this to be bad, to justify. So I'm going to watch these guys. I want this to be a hoax. So I'm going to watch these. It's just weird. Like, I feel like that's a sad situation, because I don't feel like people are getting the same information, and I don't think people trust the information they're getting.
Right.
So
right.
That's been weird.
Way to bring the show down.
That was not funny. That was not funny at all.
No, but I agree with you totally. It's just, it's kind of like that with a lot of things. It's like, well, they're saying this, so I'm going to watch this channel because that goes with what I want to be able to go outside.
Right. Yes.
And so I'm going to just watch that and listen to that. Meanwhile, you have the experts saying, no, don't do this. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to just... I saw on the news that it's just fake, and you don't have to worry about it.
It's a weird deal that you have to say which news.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't news news?
Yeah.
No, which news are you watching?
Which news do you watch?
Yeah.
So I just find it fascinating a little bit, because generally what you guys are saying is we're not open-minded at all. We decide what we want to believe,
right.
And then we look for the things that back that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like at the heart of that's pride. Mm-hmm. And that can be a spiritual condition,
right?
Mm-hmm. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look, because the protests are no different. Because if you believe a certain thing, from those people and their Facebook pages, I'm getting a whole different list, and you'll get lists of, Black Lives Matter, which was so amazing, because we addressed the subject at church last night, and I hope we did a good job. Mm-hmm. And we were just essentially telling people, hey, listen to somebody else's story, hear where they're coming from,
right.
And love those people where they're at. The reason why there's such an amazing outpour and reaction and anger is because that we touched a spot that people have been suffering from a very long time.
Right.
And if we don't listen to them with compassion, we're wrong.
Right.
That's my feeling.
Right.
So you'll get that, but then you'll get other people that it's all about the peace officers. And of course, we don't think any peace officers should be, beaten and abused and all of that. And if they are bad peace officers, of course, they should be disciplined. We agree with all that.
Right.
But you essentially just look at the situation rather than, hey, I want to learn from it. How can I grow? How can I be a better person?
Right.
How can I listen to these people and, maybe I do need to treat people differently. We look at it to find the other people that will back up what we believe so that we don't have to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that, it's like I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's African-American last night about racism. And I said, look, because I have relatives who are in the police, I have friends who are in the police, and I know it's in their heart, and I know that they're good people. But I've also seen these videos, and I think it's more than a few bad apples, and there's a nuance and a conversation that we're not having with everything, whether it's spirituality or whether it's politics or it's the racial tensions going on. And I believe I am very pro-police, but I'm also very pro-police not killing people needlessly. I'm
Right.
So there's that balance in these conversations that we can have that will, again, just kind of listen in and hear somebody else's story and just kind of open your mind and go, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
And instead of just being like, no, it's this, and this is what I say, and this is what I'm told, and
to be able to live in the nuance a little bit, to be able to ask the question, to be able to live in the gray, rather than, hey, if I just define it a certain way, then I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Right. Well, it's way easier to just sit there and go, no, it's this, and I can shut this off and go on with my life and go. I don't have to.
Yeah, it makes me think of watching when my son was playing basketball, and the bleachers. He was on JV, so the bleachers were like one side. Both teams had the fans sitting next to each other, and what was amazing is like when I remember watching this one particular game where I just thought the refs were so in favor of the other team. Like all the calls were going their way, and I'm sitting right next to a guy who's seeing all the calls going my way.
Yep.
And it was like, what are you watching what I'm watching? And it just feels like we live in that. Like we can only see the injustice. Like, and that's the thing. It's like that's like people who are deeply ingrained in a police community or police family. It's almost as if we can only see that, and then, like you're saying, kind of touching a spot on race, and they see that, and it's like this ability, and it almost feels impossible. Like, because I feel like at times I try to get into somebody else's shoes, and it's like it almost feels impossible. Like I can't see it, and so we wrestle back and forth, and it's just like, these guys are rooting for their kid, I'm rooting for my kid, and the refs against all of us.
Right.
And it's just...
that's what it comes down to. The refs are terrible.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
If there is one point for this entire podcast...
Basketball came
it's
in.
That the refs are terrible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Black lives matter, police matter, refs do not matter.
Right. That's right.
But it's so true, right? It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand your point of view when you're telling it to me through a television screen.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting in my living room, then I get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we're having a conversation.
And that's the gap with most of us. Mm-hmm. That's the gap. I mean, I know, truly, like I came from like White Town, USA. Like almost, we had.
People know that by hearing you talk.
So we had a black family in our school system. Like there was 2 in the high school and 1 in the middle school. When I was in middle school, Siobhan Haynes, and everybody loved him. Like he was the favorite kid. He was a 7th grader, and when I was an 8th grader, and everybody loved this kid. And it was like, so then you come out into the real world, and you're like, oh, we don't all get along like this.
Right.
Like we don't all, like white people don't just honor and love being around black people. And we had an exception. He was awesome. Not an exception to the rule of black people, but an exception to the rule of people. Like he was better than all of us at everything.
He was an exceptional human being.
Yeah, he was amazing. And his family was cool, but he was like the best of his family. Like he was amazing. And everybody loved Sean, his older brother, and Charisse, his sister. Like they were an amazing family. But then you get out in the real world, and you're dealing with tensions, and you're dealing with stuff that you didn't, I guess as a kid, you just didn't know still existed. And again, like even now, like almost everybody that I'm around is white people.
Right.
And then when I'm around black people, I have this within me, I have this real like, what do they think about me? And I kind of feel like there's this sense that they're asking the same question about me. And I've got a couple of really good black friends that are not in this area, so I talk to them every now and then, and I reach out to them like, I don't know what to do in this situation, because I feel like I go into the situation of just like, because I have a more reserved personality until you invite me into the discussion. Mm-hmm. So I'm not like real bold in that, and so I just feel like there's I don't know, there's just a tension there that it's like I don't know that they trust me, and I don't know that I trust you until you tell me we're good, and it's weird because I'm realizing that's in me more and more and more, because especially growing up where everybody looks like you.
Right. Right. I had the same thing. I grew up in the Northeast, and I moved out to San Diego when I was about 30. I had never met anyone from a Mexican before. Anyone, of Mexican descent. So I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so then you move to Southern California, and there's a couple.
Yeah.
There's definitely.
And so it was surprising. I mean, they make an amazing food.
That's what you always say. That's always your go-to. Like,
and that was one ridiculous. That was awesome. That was like the best part. I was like, I had one of my best friends who's was born in Mexico, and now is an American citizen, and he was like, "Oh, here, try this and try." And I was like, "This is amazing!" Like, all right, I like this. But it was just a very weird culture shock, because it was just I grew up without being around anybody like that for 30 years.
Right.
So you just kind of go, okay, well, and you learn.
To be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And to not just defend who you are.
Right.
Not to be in the conversation so that you can make sure your point is made, but to be able in the conversation to make sure that you listen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Brian, you've walked through this Corona season, and for you, it's been there has been a lot of difficult to it. I'm just assuming because comedians can't work, and you feel like you are on one of the vulnerable. But you also wanted to make sure that we talked about the good that has come out of this.
Yes. Can I give you one more bad?
Oh yes, please. I love it.
It's a bad and it's a ridiculous all in one. It's virtual comedy shows. They are awful. They are the worst thing.
Tagline: comedy that's not funny.
Yes.
Click here.
Because you have comedy where you can't hear the audience.
Yeah.
And then, as you were saying, connecting with somebody in the room versus seeing them through a screen.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Huge difference.
And then there's all sorts of psychology within comedy where you want people together because when someone laughs,
the closer they are.
Right.
You want a packed room.
Yeah.
Like if the place seats 80, you want 93
exactly.
in that room. And this is like anti-corona.
Yeah, because even if you don't find something funny, and if 100,000 people, or if there are 1,000 people around you that are all laughing, you're going to be more likely to laugh.
Right.
You know, and you're going to feel more less inhibited to laugh.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting there on your screen, looking at me, you know, like you're ordering off a menu.
You got your laugh track button.
Exactly.
Boom, that was funny. Here it goes.
But touching on the good, this is the thing that I think anyway, and it's kind of a bad. It starts off as bad, but I like to flip it.
Okay.
You know, all these people have lost their jobs, and that's awful, and people are struggling, and I understand that. The good part of that is there are so many people that were working that didn't like what they were doing and weren't happy with their career and weren't happy with their life. And I think it brings in the focus of family and what's really important and love. And if there's something that you want to do and you want to try, if you want to open up a store or you want to get into, you know, music or a hobby or whatever, this allowed time for people to kind of reset and go, what do I want to do going forward? And I think it gives people an opportunity to chase their dreams and to go for what they want, to help people. You know, you see a lot of people coming together. I talk with my friends and my family more now than I did before.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of connecting on a human basis, on a human level, and then there's also that opportunity for people, like I said, to kind of reassess their life and kind of go, what's really important to me? And chase their dreams instead of just going, I'm going to work in this corporate office until I'm 65 and then I'm going to go retire. Yeah. So that to me is like a really a good thing.
It's like a healthy pause button.
Yeah.
Right. Reset.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of that as far as families go. We, you know, at our church, there's a lot of people with young kids, and it's sports every night. It's, you know, school, whatever, and I'm wondering if they're just going to, as soon as it's open, if they're just going to jump right back in. Or if there are some people that are thinking, you know what, maybe having my kid in 3 sports and singing lessons and ballet, maybe that's not how we want to live.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and can you think of what it would be like if this was 30 years ago and there was no internet?
Right.
You know, like when I was growing up, this would be brutal.
Right.
Yeah. Kids would have been all over it, though. Like, kids would have been, you know, getting outside. Like, even coronavirus, let's go back to some bad. The amount of screen time that my kids, who would have been in school otherwise, the amount of screen time, because for a while that was their interaction with their friends. So they weren't just kind of social media, but it was a lot of video games and a lot of, you know, like you saved the world by staying at home and watching TV, you know, and so like that on one side, it was a great fast forward button, but yeah, at the same time, I'm like, that's just, it would have been healthier to sit in a class and learn something, you know?
Yeah. And then to walk to class with somebody and then to eat lunch with people. That's,
right.
Yeah.
I believe in my life, I've experienced this. I'm trying to learn gratitude more. It's come up on the podcast so many times. Jonathan's over here, me talking about it.
Not at all.
You'd think that you'd be more grateful, Jack.
Yeah.
Focusing on it.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
But what I'm finding very clearly is I am way more grateful for something after it's been taken away from me, and I get it back. Mm-hmm. And
that's why I ground my son every month.
Now you're really going to like this phone. So I wonder if that will happen too. And we've talked a little bit about this. We gave Leslie's idea. Leslie's on the podcast all the time. She's our children's person. What they do is when they miss something, they write it down. They put it in the bowl for after Corona. That they're going. This is what we're going to do. For us, it's the zoo. My wife and I love walking the zoo. We got passes. That was our date night. That's going to be amazing when we get to do that.
Yeah, that'll be really nice. And then all the people who are introverted who've enjoyed staying in are going to be like, oh, I got to go back outside and talk to people again.
Where are you in that?
I'm both. I can be extroverted, and I can also be very introverted. Right now, I'm enjoying it. I'm just kind of like I said, it's been a nice pause on the grind of comedy because that never stops. And again, kind of refocus and how can I shift and try to help people.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of the one thing I want to do is go to the beach once it calms down.
Right. I mean, they just opened it up, so I imagine it's a madhouse.
Yeah.
Especially this weekend. But we've been down a lot. We'll just go down because as long as you are moving, so we're close enough. We just go down, walk the beach, walk back, and you get back in the car and come home. It's nice.
That, and I'd like to hear some live music again. That would be nice.
Oh, that would be fun. And what you wanted to say too is a live sermon. Is that what you were thinking?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, did I not say that first?
Well, no. Well, again, the good thing is I don't have to get out of bed to get to church on Sundays.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What you are wearing on Sunday mornings would probably not be appropriate.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can implement that going forward, like church in PJs.
Yeah.
And then you get more people to come out because I don't have to put on pants. I can just wear my PJs.
I don't know what you sleep in, but I sleep in my boxers. Yeah. I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
Jonathan, you got a good
from this whole thing. I think, like you're saying, like being grateful for what's coming back. I mean, I just like things have opened up, and we are getting back out, and it's not like it was the first month. Like we're at the point. This will probably come out in I don't know, almost a month, like 3 weeks, but just knowing that it feels so good to get just basic stuff back. Even when my kids could just kind of start hanging out with some friends again.
Right.
Where I didn't have to say no every single time to everything they wanted to do. So I would say the good is coming from just the fresh air of fresh air, I guess.
Well, and one more good that I think is coming out of this, and it's something I've kind of worked behind the scenes, and I was talking with someone before this all happened, was the appreciation and value that we should have for healthcare workers and nurses and essential workers who are doing things that when we're all in the midst of whatever, we're just like, oh, some grocery clerk, whatever, get out of the way, you're making whatever, you can't get a real job, or all that sort of stuff. And it's like you see value.
My daughter picked up a job as a grocery clerk in coronavirus. Just wanted to throw that out there, Brian.
Yeah. She got a real job. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. What a wonderful, wonderful person she is for doing that and helping us all survive.
Well, because in reality, like my wife runs a Starbucks, and to look at, like, people worked through it genuinely fearful.
Yeah.
Like working a drive-through and being afraid of people who are coming through, and yet doing it. Because like you could at Starbucks, you could not work, and actually people, my family, that's what they chose for a bit of that is like, well, let's see where this goes. Let's take some time off because you can not work and still get paid, and yet some people actually chose to work through that, even still having some anxiety about it. Which is pretty kind of noble and heroic.
Yeah, and you also hear a lot of stories, too, of communities coming together and reaching out to, like my dad is 82 and lives by himself, and his neighbors were coming by, hey, can we go shopping for you? Can we pick you anything up from the store? Like communities coming together, and it's just bringing, I think the love of God down to people and just kind of saying, help your fellow man. And I think that's another really good thing that's come out of that.
Yeah. People will come to us and go, how's it going? you know, because
right.
we're not meeting.
Right.
And that's hard for Jonathan and I.
Yeah.
You know, we're like bad TV personality. Like if all the newscasters went down and then all the subs and all that, then we might get a call.
We get the call. Yeah.
Well, you would definitely do weather.
Yeah.
With that shirt especially. You would do weather. Let's take a look at the map,
Tune in
Jonathan.
to see the awkward tacky shirt that I'm wearing right now. But listen, we get people who are saying, "Hey, thank you for what you're doing," but I got to tell you, God cannot be limited. And there are people that are watching in places that would not watch otherwise. They wouldn't ever show up to our church, but they're hearing it anyway, and God's going to use this.
Yeah.
So, all right, our time's about up, and I feel like I want Brian to take us out, but I just really feel like I want him to take us out with one last comment about Corona in this season, whatever, as your favorite character that's not Brian.
Okay.
Favorite. Jonathan hates it when I say favorite because that puts the pressure on.
So much
All
pressure.
right, we're going to sip here on this one. I'm going to go Alan Rickman, who was Professor Snape from Harry Potter.
Right.
Yes,
Here we go.
he did other things besides
Yes.
Harry Potter. He
was
did
in,
other things.
He was in Die Hard, and he was in Robin Hood.
He was Hans Gruber.
Yes. That was his first role.
That was his first role.
That was his first
He was
movie
the
role.
best
Which is
bad guy ever.
Absolutely. I love him. He was also in... my brain just went blank. Anyway,
He was in 10 steps further. Here we go.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say during this time and season of coronavirus, you should treat one another with love and respect. And when you do that, you will find yourself 10 steps further.
That's beautiful.
That may be the commercial for this particular episode.
Hey, thanks, Brian, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Boom.
Thanks for joining us for these last 10 steps. If you'd like to join us for another journey, or if you know someone else who's on this walk, subscribe to our podcast at 10 Steps Further on iTunes, or simply search 10 Steps Further on your podcast app. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation with a question or a comment or a criticism or even a wisecrack, look us up on Facebook. We've created a Facebook group where you can be part of the conversation. We'll see you next time.